The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
State and Keith Gavin, head coach at Pittsburgh. Coach Ryan, if you want to open it up with a statement.
It's great to be in Pittsburgh, the national championships. I know as a young kid growing up, I was a big Steeler fan. 75, 76, 79, and 80. They won the championship. My brother was a Cowboy fan, so I loved making fun of him at the time. I love the city. We got three guys that are from this area, and Luke Pletcher at 33. Tashan Campbell at 65 and Ethan Smith at 74. So it's good for those guys to have an opportunity to compete in the home area, and looking forward to getting the weekend underway.
Coach Sanderson?
I don't really have a statement. I would just say we're happy to be here, and thank you all for being here.
Coach Brandt?
Fired up to compete. I'm speaking for our guys, and they're fired up as well. And like Tom Ryan said, we have some local flavor here as well.
Coach Smith?
Yeah, just looking forward to it. It's kind of neat that we're having championships here. I think it's a great place to have them, and I'm sure it's going to be a great show.
Coach Gavin?
Yeah, we're excited to have it here in Pittsburgh. Obviously, it's a special opportunity for our guys. Most of our team is from Pittsburgh, so yeah, we're all excited.
All right, the head coaches are open for questions, guys. We'll go right here.
This is for all of you, but Keith especially. How important is it to recruit this area of Pennsylvania, this District 7 area? And Keith, how important is it for you to get guys to stay home here?
Keith?
Yeah, well, for us, it's really important. I mean, if we're not getting guys around here, we're going to struggle, So, yeah, I mean, one of our advantages is certainly location. We're very close to Northeast Ohio too, and that's another strong area. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably the most important thing that we do.
Coach Ryan?
Pennsylvania is a great state for wrestling. This region, as I said, we have three on our team from this region. I'm excited for Keith and what he's doing with the program. He was with Ohio State in our regional training center for a couple of years, and got to know him really well. And excited for what he's doing here. And yeah, recruiting is a huge part of compiling a team that's got a chance to compete for a title every year. So this is a great region, and we got to be in this region.
Over here.
It's for Coach Smith. Coach, you guys obviously had a good amount of lineup shuffling at the end of the year. What went into those decisions, and when were those decisions made?
Well, we had some injuries throughout the year, and that was really part of the reason why we had to shuffle our lineup. Other than that, trying to win dual meets and putting our strongest team out. We at one time really thought everybody would stay up, and we thought Preston Weigel would be out for the season, and just a miraculous recovery that he had. All of a sudden in February, he's back, and we didn't plan on that. So just some challenges, that, unfortunately, the rules that are in place today doesn't really, acknowledge some of those challenges coaches have with weight issues, with guys getting injured, moving guys around, trying to fill a team, we like to win dual meets, so we're going to try to put our best team out. So, maybe in the future we can consider the challenges that coaches have right now with some injuries and moving guys around. But honestly, it was a tough year and tough decisions at the end.
This is actually the follow-up question to John, and this for Cal too, if you could answer this. Both of you were in a situation where two-time All-Americans are not wrestling for your team, and I understand the nature of the sport, how competitive it is. But could you talk to me about the limitations of the sport because of the situations where there's only so many spots, there are no reserves, and because of that, there are a growing number of transfers in the sport. Is this good for the sport?
John, we'll start with you.
You say me?
Yeah, we'll start with John.
Well, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, we as a team, we knew the issue from the very beginning. It wasn't something like it snuck up on us, right? The nice thing about wrestling is you get to put the two guys out there and see who wins. You know, you don't have to pick or choose necessarily. Both of them are high performers or been. You know, I don't, you know, it's just the way it is, right? I don't know if you can do anything about it. You know.
Would you ever like with any items where you get more than one?
I think if the coaches wanted that and there was a big support for that, I don't see that being a disadvantage for the student athlete, right?
Coach Sanderson?
What do you want me to answer?
Well, just the nature of the sport, because, you know, you yourself had to replace a you're not replace it. A two-time All-American is not good enough to wrestle for. Is that good for the sport? And then now there's a growing number of transfers.
Well, I think there are a lot of things that come into play with what you're saying. I think generally speaking, I mean, wrestling needs more scholarships, right? So I don't think the issue isn't that we have too many guys and can't get them all in the lineup. I mean, that happens occasionally. And obviously, like for us at heavyweight, it really is gleaming, right? But heavyweight's just that weight class where there's nowhere else to go, right? I mean, they're not going up a weight because there is no other weight, right? So, you know, Nick Neville's is two-time All-American, great wrestler. We have a ton of confidence in him. If he was in the tournament, I think he could do really, really well. And, but, you know, Kassar moved up and just, earned that spot, right? And that's wrestling. You get a chance to earn it. Transfers, you're probably going to see more and more transfers, right? I mean, that's more on the NCAA and them trying to kind of bend to, accommodate student athletes. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think it'll probably be a problem. It's probably not in the best interest of what sports are supposed to kind of teach you a little bit about commitment and you know, when you give your word or something or you sign a contract, usually it's, you know, it's just tricky, right? So you can look at it from a lot of different perspectives, and obviously I'm going to see it from my perspective, but it will probably be a challenge. I think you're seeing that with some of the other sports already, but wrestling, I think we're more on the other side where we should be fighting for more than 9.9 scholarships. We have 10 weight classes, right? I don't know why that isn't brought up more, but I mean, this tournament sold out. You can't get a ticket here. Dual meets are growing. The popularity in the sport's growing, right? We should be getting more scholarships. That would be in the best interest of wrestling. Yeah.
Over here.
All five of you obviously had very decorated wrestling careers of your own. Just wondering, being in this venue, I mean, what kind of memories that brings back for you just from your time as a collegiate wrestler?
Start with Coach Brandt.
Duplicate and exceed. That's what we want to do. We have a lot of coaches that did well in the sport, and we want our guys to, you know, find their own path and exceed what we've done. And it's never been about me or my experience, except for how we mentor our guys and how we train them. But this is about their path, and we're really about how these guys are maturing and getting their own chance at what they want to attain in the sport at the highest level, national, world, Olympic championships. And you can't separate that World Olympic Championship from the NCAAs, especially in the cross section of the kids that we're all recruiting right here. And that's who we're recruiting. We're recruiting guys that want to be national, world, Olympic championships. So duplicate and exceed. That's what we want to have happen with our guys. It's a great venue. It's exciting when you walk in for the first time. It doesn't change anymore. It looks the same in Pittsburgh and Cleveland and Philadelphia and Des Moines. And so it's exciting. It brings back good memories.
Coach Gavin?
Yeah, I think like Coach Brandt said, it's not, I don't think about my experience that often because it's not about me. I'm just trying to encourage these guys and individually help them get their best performance. So, yeah, I mean, it's all the same. And I think that, you know, they need to take it one match at a time. And that's probably pretty cliche advice, but it's cliche for a reason, right? I think it's probably the way to do it.
Up front here.
I guess for Keith, I think it was 2 years ago, your first day on the job was the day they announced that the tournament would be here in Pittsburgh. Did you think about that back then, what might be happening 2 years later? And a follow-up to that would be, what's it like for you and your wrestlers to have this event in Pittsburgh, which is considered a hotbed of high school wrestling?
Yeah, no, when it was announced, I didn't really think too much about it. There was a lot going on at the time. I kind of played it off like I did this and got it here, but that wasn't the case. But no, for our guys, like I said, a lot of them, we have 5 qualifiers, 3 of them are from right here. So it's special for them. It'll never happen again, so for them, it's about being grateful for this opportunity and making the most out of it.
Go over here.
Coach Gavin, you guys had 3 guys in Meach Thomas, Miki, Phillippi, and Nino Bonacorsi that have really kind of burst onto the scene this year. When did you and the coaching staff kind of know that you had something special with those guys in particular?
Yeah, they're all different cases. Miki was a transfer, and I've known Miki since he was a little kid, so we kind of knew what we were getting there. He was a very successful high school athlete and just a great kid all around. Meach, we didn't really know. We needed a heavyweight and found him in the NAIA, and he was looking to transfer. We knew he had a lot of ability, but what we didn't know is he also has a really strong will, and I guess that's hard to find, when you're watching tape. But, and Nino is similar to Miki. Nino grew up in the Pittsburgh Wrestling Club, so his dad wrestled at Pitt. I knew his older brother who wrestled at Pitt, so you kind of know what you're getting with those 2 guys because we just had a relationship with them.
A question for Cal. 9 years ago, you saw Jason Nolf probably for the first time. What made you think he was going to be so special, and how he's progressed through his career that's going to end this weekend?
Well, I think Jason is special. You can tell just by the look in his eye, right? He's very confident, and the bigger the match, the better he wrestles. But yeah, I think especially midway, kind of late into his high school career, you could just kind of see that he was separating himself, and a lot of that's his desire, his work ethic, his drive is just him wanting to be the best and believing that he can be that.
Go over here.
This one's for Coach Brandt. You have a pretty young team in terms of, how many years of eligibility they have left. You've been coaching a long time. How would you compare maybe this team's level of maturity and leadership from some of the young guys to some of the other teams you've had in the past?
I mean, it's a question that probably has a long answer to it. The short answer would be these guys know what they want. They're excited to be here because they know that this is the most important time of the year. They feed off each other like all good teams do. And, when you look at our season, how it went, we got whooped at the end. And sometimes when you get whipped at the end, you don't handle it well. And, we had 10 guys and 25 more at home that handled it pretty well. That's not me making a prediction, but there was maybe a little hangover that first day at the Big Tens, that first round or whatever, and then maybe straighten it out a little bit. But you know what? That's what this weekend's about. We'll answer that question through the weekend, and I'll let you know how it went.
Over here.
Taylor Miller with USA Wrestling. This is for Coach Brandt and Coach Sanderson. With the growth and development of regional training centers, how have you guys seen those make an impact on your college programs?
Start with Coach Brandt.
It's been great. It's not a new frontier, but it's a newer frontier, and I think that USA Wrestling has done a good job of managing it as we go forward into it more and more. They're becoming more popular, and it's definitely made a difference with the development that's happening, and not just young athletes. The obvious benefit is for the young athletes, but also for veterans. Veterans have gotten better. They can stay in the sport longer because of financial reasons. Opportunities are there more than ever before, and not little money either, not just getting by rent money. It can add up to significant income. It's been a good thing.
Coach Anderson?
Well, I think Coach Brandt's pretty much said everything I would say. I think it's the proof's in the pudding, right? I think USA Wrestling's doing very well, right? I think all ages, junior, cadet, senior world team. So it's definitely working for USA Wrestling, and it's a great benefit if you take advantage of it. We're trying to do the best that we can, taking advantage of it, and it's great for the kids on our team. Like Coach Brandt said, it's great for the senior level guys, and I think that we're seeing that with the international success of USA Wrestling.
We're gonna go in the back here.
Jason Bryan, Matt Talk Online. This question's for Keith, since you're the only non-power conference like Big Ten, Big 12 up here. Talk about the ACC. Pitt's been a member of the ACC for coming on a decade now. 41 qualifiers, almost 60% of the conference is qualifying. When people say ACC, they're starting to think good wrestling conference. What have you seen from your time, being an assistant, being an athlete, and then being a head coach and seeing where the growth of the ACC is coming in wrestling?
Yeah, it's pretty fun to be a part of. All the coaches in the ACC are doing a great job, obviously, and it's fun to be a part of a competitive conference. I mean, I didn't wrestle when I was in college. It wasn't that long ago, and that was when you got an ACC guy, you were pretty happy about it. Where now maybe that's not the case anymore. So it's just fun to be part of a competitive conference, and our guys get tested throughout the year, wrestling those duels, and of course our championship, and they know that they're ready for this.
We'll go over here.
It's for Coach Gavin as well. And just to piggyback off of Taylor's earlier question, when you first got the job, you talked about the importance of building the Pitt Wrestling Club. Obviously, you have a guy, Nico Megalous, just went 3-1 at the World Cup. How has that come along, and how have you seen that grow in your 2 years on the job?
Yeah, it's been going well. It wasn't done before at Pitt, so that was a lot of explaining, what an RTC was and what you had to do to get a fully functioning one. But it's going well, and I think my time at Ohio State, at the Ohio RTC there helped me a lot. I saw what Coach Ryan had to do to put that together and all the efforts that went into that, and that was a great experience. And just kind of trying to duplicate what we had going on there.
Gary Abbott, USA Wrestling. And I'd like all five coaches, if they have something to say, to answer this one. Obviously, you care about every one of your student athletes that are competing here, but for your seniors, this is their final college opportunity. And I think each one of you guys have some seniors that, you're proud of, and you'd like to see them have a successful NCAA tournament when they're finishing up what they're doing as part of your program. So I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about the seniors on your team, and individually your thoughts about some of these guys and what they've meant to your team.
Coach Ryan, we'll start with you.
Well, we've got a couple seniors on our team that been with for quite a while at Ohio State, and some not as long, but the relationships that you build with them. You'd like to see them leave with what the ultimate goal was in their wrestling life. I think the bigger thing, though, is as much as we want that for them, and you visualize, right? You visualize hoisting them up, right, on Saturday night, right? You can play those scenarios over in your mind over and over again. I think ultimately you're just glad that you've helped them suffer, that you've caused difficulties for them, that they've been through some things in a college wrestling room, whether you're winning, losing, just fighting. The battle of just being a college wrestler is very hard. College wrestling is very hard. And you hope that they leave and take those things with them more than anything. But, obviously I'm hoping to do some hoisting this weekend.
Coach Smith?
I have several. Derek White, our heavyweight. His journey's been quite interesting. Went to Nebraska and didn't work there for him, and ended up walking on at Oklahoma State. And 2 of his 3 years was a walk-on. This was the first year he was ever really we had the opportunity to give him money. So he's been a nice story, from the standpoint of I didn't know if he was going to finish his career in the sport. To here he is, ranked number 1 in the country as a senior in likely his final tournament. Jacoby Smith, another Oklahoma boy, both of those from Oklahoma, and Preston Weigel, 197-pounder, who's been challenged with a lot of injuries, and he's found himself back in the lineup for his senior year, and so it's pretty exciting. I mean, my seniors have gone through some different challenges. A little bit like Tom said, it's tough being a wrestler, and sometimes it's challenging. And for my seniors, they've gone through the challenge and really have been real true leaders, especially this season. As we've gone through a lot of injuries, these guys really stepped up.
Coach Sanderson?
Yeah, I would just say, I was loud, that we're, just like Coach Ryan said, we want these guys to be happy when they leave, right? We've had a very special group that are now seniors, and you just want them to be smiling when the weekend's over. And maybe this is the end for them. Maybe they'll keep wrestling, whoever, depending on who it is. But we want them to be happy, and obviously I can't do that for them. They've got to go out there and write this final few pages of their book or whatever, however you want to say it. And but yeah, you want them to be happy, and we're grateful that we've had this time with them.
Right up here.
Jeff Upson from PA Power Wrestling's questions for Coach Brandt. Can you talk a little bit about Max Marin's development this season? He's kind of been a little bit up and down, but he had a really good Big Ten tournament. Maybe talk a little bit about that momentum that he's feeling coming into this tournament.
Biggest thing with Max Marin is he fights hard. Wrestling's important to him, and he's learning as he goes. He's young. It's not an excuse, but sometimes when you're young, it's not quite like you envisioned it, and he's wading through the adversity like everybody has to, and he's handled it with a very mature perspective. We love Max Marin in our program. I always joke he leads with his face. And, I don't mind guys like that.
Over here.
J.P. Pearson, Black Shoe Diaries. Question for Coach Sanderson. We've heard a lot of wrestlers mention mental toughness as the biggest strides that they've made since they've come into the Penn State program. We've also seen Bonnie Epstein travel with the program a lot more this year, or I have in photos. And I wanted to know if you could tell us a little bit about her role with the team and how she helps your wrestlers improve the psychology and the mental part of their game.
Oh yeah, well Bonnie's been traveling with us for a while now. I think more than just a couple of years. But yeah, I have all the confidence in the world in Bonnie. I met her when I was competing a long time ago, and when we had the chance to bring her on staff, we did. But yeah, just really just honest, good advice, and I think we love having her, and she's very good at what she does. But she's a counselor / if you call her a sports psychologist, she'd slap me. I don't know why. I still don't understand. I mean, it is counselor, whatever. It's all the same thing to me. But yeah, she's very valuable to us, and she's part of the family, and we love having her. Yeah.
Over here.
Coach Sanderson, would you say that your opinions on the conference tournament has maybe changed over the last few years?
In what way? What do you mean?
Results at conference tournament. Would you say your opinion on them has changed over the last few years?
I don't think my opinion's changed. I don't know. I guess I don't know what you're getting at, but I mean, it's a qualifier. It's a conference tournament. The Big Ten's very important to every team in there. You want to do well, right? Obviously the bigger picture is get your guys to the nationals, and you want to be at your best this weekend. But doing well at the Big Ten tournament's very important to your school and your community and your fans and the wrestlers. So I don't think anything's really changed. That unless there's something I'm missing, I don't know.
Anything else back there?
Just for Keith, just with your experience in this tournament and everything, what kind of advice, what have you told to a wrestler like Miki, a freshman who's seeded as high as 4th? He's got to win over the number 1 seed. Just going into a tournament like this in his hometown that he said he's, looked up to a tournament like this all his life. What kind of advice have you told him going in to like deal with the pressure?
Yeah, Mickey's experience is different than mine, I think. He's in a very tough weight class where maybe one of the toughest ones that we've seen in a long time. So, when I wrestled, it wasn't necessarily that way, where I had a couple guys that I had to be concerned with. But, every round he's got to be ready to go. But I'm not really concerned with that with him. He's a true competitor, and this is what he does best. He's best in moments like this. So just kind of remind him of that. This is who he is. So remind him of that and make sure that he just keeps it simple.
Go over here.
Hi, this is for Coach Gavin and Coach Sanderson. What are the chances we could see a Penn State Pitt home and home dual series in the next couple of years?
Start with Coach Gavin.
Yeah, I'm good with that. It's, they have a tougher, because the Big Ten schedule is we only have 6 teams in the ACC, so our schedule is a lot easier to work out. So, I know those guys have a much tougher deal with that.
Coach Sanderson?
Well, I think there's been talk of that, but it's something that we wrestled Pitt every year. I think the first however many years I was at Penn State, so that's not anything, any stretch of the imagination, obviously. So,
all right, that's it for the coaches. Thank you very much.
All right,
you guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yep, we'll see.
The Short Time Wrestling Podcast is proudly outfitted by Compound Clothing. Shirts, singlets, custom gear orders, everything you need. Call up Cliff and the crew at cmpteamwear.com. Hey, you know what? Did you like the show? You want to hit that subscribe button? MattTalkOnline.com/listen. Various different ways to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcatcher of choice. And if you're already subscribed, you already listened, and you love the show, and you want to support this show and this network, MattTalkOnline.com/join the team. Become a team member today.